When we're setting up menu items, we need to make sure that for all new item additions, be it division, group, category, or the items themselves, we're working from within the menu item tab. If we're trying to add additional items or groups or categories from any other tab, it will prevent you from doing this. The options will be grayed out. So we'll start by adding a division to our menu here. But to do that, we're going to select on menu with our left mouse button and do a right mouse click and choose to do an add of division. So for this division, we'll start out with a burger menu. Once we've typed in the name we'd like to have, we can choose to do a save all, and then that's created a division for the new menu we'll be creating. As a side note, we will be talking about Enterprise on future video sessions. However, the icon we're seeing here, which looks like a Google pin marking, is for an indication that this is a localized menu and not part of our Enterprise. The folders that have no pin on them are part of our menu template at our main store template on Enterprise. So now that we've created a division, we can start adding in some of our groups. A good idea for our groups are to add groupings that make sense to us. So in the case of adding in a barcode item menu, this is a good place to keep any barcoded items that you'll be putting into your system for easy scanning, such as a can of Coke or a bag of chips. In this case, I'll go ahead and add a barcode menu. And I can continue to add menus by selecting on my division and choosing to add in groups here. So I'm going to add one for my mains. I'm going to add in one here for beverages. Another good idea at this point is to start adding in our groups for things such as our combo items or our option items. It's a good way to keep organized when we're doing these type of setups. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a options group. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a group for my combos. Yep, so I've gone ahead and created these. And as I'm adding items, we can see that different color changes are happening. Items and groups and divisions and categories that have all previously been entered and saved are displayed in black. Any new pieces that are added will be showing up in green until a save has taken place. And anything that's been modified will show up in purple. So in the case of having created the burger menu, it is a new addition. However, it's turned into purple as I'm modifying because I'm adding in all of these new different groupings into this section as well. So now I have all my groupings. I can start adding in some categories. So under my beverages, logically I might add some beverage categories such as hot beverage. And I might add in, let's say, a cold beverage as well. Now, if I was to try to navigate to any of the other menu sections or close the menu without saving, the system will prompt me to automatically save. I can choose to save at this point. If I choose no, it will erase all changes I've made, or I can cancel and continue editing. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel so I can show you that we can also hit save all from this screen as well. And once I hit save all, it's automatically going to save all of the new additions I've made into my menu. And we can see all of my menu additions have now changed into black, which is indicating that these are now saved into my system. I'm going to go ahead now and add in a few hot beverages just to show how that takes place. So again, I've selected onto this particular category, and I'm going to go ahead and right-click and choose to add a menu item. Make my screen a little bit larger here so we can see the full screen. There are multiple different drop-downs available when we're creating a menu item. However, we start off on the basic tab by default when we first access our menu. There are multiple different areas where we can put in a name for our item. So in this case, under a hot beverage, I'm going to go ahead and add in coffee. This menu item name is a name that it will be displayed within our menu structure as we're looking at it here. The display name is what the name will appear on our cashier screen if we add this to a button. An alternate name could be a name that we put into another language. And the kitchen name is how would this item print out on a kitchen printer if we're pathing these items to a kitchen printer to print. Let's say a bar printer or a cafe printer or some printer within our kitchen for our restaurant or chef to prepare. Our PLU number and external reference ID number can be manually entered at this point to match up to any external system that you might be doing a flat file exchange with. And we'll talk about flat file exchanges a little bit down the road when it comes to our reporting. In this case, if we choose to leave these option sections blank, then these numbers will automatically populate when I save this item. As well, all of the names will automatically populate with whatever I've put into my menu item name once I hit save as well. In the case of looking at QSR department ID, this is set up when we're using a kitchen controller setup for, let's say, bump bars or monitors, such as you might find in a Tim Hortons or Starbucks environment. We will talk about this on a subsequent session. Looking at pricing, by default, new items are added in with a $99 price. And this is a visual indicator that the price is wrong in most cases and that someone needs to make an adjustment. Now, we can also leave this price at $99 if you're making extensive use of price levels, as a price level will override the default price when used. And we'll look at a price level in a session coming up shortly. The cost is a number you can add in if you know what the cost of your item is. So for example, if you're selling a can of Coke for $1 and you know the cost is 10 cents for the can of Coke, you could add it in at this point. This allows us to discount the item. Can this item be used under any kind of discount scenarios or not? So again, enabled or disabled. And the number of allowed discounts by default is set to a very high number, which is basically at the POS equivalent of infinite. If you want to only have a restriction of allowing this item to only be discounted once per transaction, you would also change this number down to 1. The unit indicates the default number of units that are sold when this particular item is sold. In most cases, it will be 1, but you may have other use cases that require additional units to be sold together as part of this item that we're setting up here. And again, your cost may vary at that point as well as your price. Now, a few other sections we have to look at in here are our printer types. And again, these would have been previously set up, and these would be our printer types for our kitchen printers. This is not the receipt printer on the machine itself, on the terminal. When a receipt is printed for a customer who's come in to make a purchase, by default, it will print out all of the items as part of the transaction. So that's not required. These are only required if pathing this food item for preparation on a kitchen printer. We also have our tax types. So what sort of taxes should we be applying to this item? And again, these are taxes that you would apply based on your knowledge of your tax environment. So in this case, I'll apply GST, and I'll also apply HST for food items as an F here. And we can see as I'm adding in the taxes, it is changing the price with tax here. I'm going to go ahead and set my coffee to a price of $1. And we can see that based on my taxes I've applied, under my threshold of it being under $3.99, it's also showing up that it's only $1.05. And again, I'm referencing Ontario tax rates at this point. However, if I was to make this a higher price, let's say $5, we can see the taxes, price with taxes increased to accommodate that as well. So in the case of our discount types, these have to do with our discount type groupings that we're setting up. And this allows this item to be eligible for discounting within specific discount grouping. And we would use discount groups set up to allow a discount type to be restricted. We use this fairly extensively when it comes to our meal plan setups in our customer database. So at this point, we can see that I have, to refresh, a new division, a new set of groups, a new category, and we have a new item that's been added, our new item being in green. Our beverage has been modified, so it's showing in purple. Everything else is showing in black. At this point now, if I choose to save, everything will go into a black in a moment, which will show me that my save has been accepted. Now, one good feature as well that we have within each of these is that if I was to add a new item at this point, the new item I add will inherit the tax type settings, discount settings, and printer type settings of the item that came before it within this particular grouping that we have here, okay? So, for example, I can go ahead and add a new item in here now. I'm going to call it tea. I'll make the price on this also $1. And once I save this, again, to reinforce, it's kept my tax types, it's kept my printer setup, and any discount types I have as well. My tax is updated based on the appropriate tax levels. And when I choose to save, we can see that the menu item name, the display name, the alternate name, and kitchen name have all populated to match the same name, and a PLU number and external reference ID have been automatically generated for this new item I've created. In our next session, we'll discuss further some of our additional menu item components we have in here, including our advanced, miscellaneous, price history, and size modifier option sets.